إلى روح من اجتمعنا لأجلها الفاتحة مع الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل وأجرهم والعن أعدائهم أجمعين. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. قل هل أنبئكم بالأخسرين أعمالا الذين ضل سعيهم في الحياة الدنيا وهم يحسبون أنهم يحسنون صنعا. قال أمير المؤمنين سلام الله عليه وهو يوصف الدنيا ويقول: هي سوق ربح فيها قوم وخسر فيها آخرون. هذه الدنيا، هذه الحياة قصيرة، الأوقات فيها معدودة، دقائق، أنفاس، كلها معدودة، وتنقضي يوما بعد يوم وبعجالة. الآن نحن هنا وغدا نحن مغادرون، ولكن الذي يغادر والذي يربح في هذه الدنيا من يترك هذه الدنيا وقلبه خال من كل حقد وضغينة، خال من كل متعلقات الدنيا، الذي يذهب إلى ربه وقلبه سليم. ذلك الإنسان الذي سوف يكون رابحا يوم القيامة، لا الإنسان الذي يجمع الأموال ويذهب خلف الدنيا ويترك أيامه وساعاته في الدنيا ولذاتها. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يخرجنا من هذه الدنيا وهو راض عنا بقلوب صافية. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. The verse I just recited, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this world. Boys, give it quiet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this world and He says, I want to tell you something. Are you willing to listen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He uses one of the ways and methods to attract attention. And He says, هَلْ أُنْبِئُكُمْ, meaning there's something that you don't know, I want to tell you. Are you willing to listen to me? So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell me is extremely important. Therefore, we need to pay attention to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs to say. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by using that method of trying to attract attention, He's trying to tell us something that we deal with in this life. And this is what we call trade, dealing. We think that this world is based on the fact that if I do the trades in this world, I will succeed, I will win, I will make money, I will live a happy life. And we think by doing so, I will also manage to succeed in the other life. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You either work for this world or you work for the other world. Or you work for this world for the sake of the other world. So the choice is yours. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I want to tell you about the ones who are khasireen, the ones who will lose. Do you want to know who they are? Because knowing who they are, it will identify if you are one of them or not, which is extremely important. I want to understand, am I going to be among those who Allah considered to be khasireen, losers in this world or not? So I have to ask myself, or we have to ask ourselves, who are the khasireen? Who are the losers? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they are from you. And what kind of business that if I deal with, if I trade in, that I will lose? We seem to understand when it comes to this dunya, when it comes to this world, losing in this world is easy. Because we do understand that if one loses in this world, is subject to change. Meaning, if I get into a business trade and I lose all my money, not a big problem. I could work hard again, I could make my money once again. So there's a chance for me to make up for where I lost. But when it comes to the akhirah, unfortunately, I can't do that. Because once I pass, there is no more actions. There is no more deeds. It's just me and what I have done. Sometimes we look at the things that happens to us in this world as khasara. Unfortunately, the Quran says it's otherwise. For example, when calamities and problems comes our way, is that a loss? Because some people assume to think that Allah is punishing them. And on the contrary, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes a person and He loves a servant of His, Allah automatically will try to trial him in any way possible. So He will bring calamities and problems his way. In that calamities that he faces, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates his status. He sends him up. He gives him more deed. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and I quote, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. So Allah says, in everything that I've given you, I'm going to trial you in. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the other hand, He says, when He talks about calamities, He says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. So this is the first part of the ayah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ. So in these calamities that you face, in these problems that you face, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate your status. So it's not khasara, rather it is a gain actually. But sometimes because we are so much into this world that we think it is a loss. When we have to understand who are the khasireen, or al-akhsarun, like the Quran says. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me two attributes to those people. And I have to see if I am one of them. The first one, the first sifa that Allah gives to al-khasirun or al-akhsarun, He says, الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ. So this is the first part. They work hard in this world, they do a lot of things, but then they lose their trade. They lose all the work that they've done. Because this is a very short limited time, I can't go into much detail, so I'll stay with the basics, and inshallah, I'll leave the search for you. There are 4 or 3 categories that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ, He talks about in the Quran. First, when it comes to the aqidah, when it comes to the fundamentals of a person, if the fundamentals and the aqad of a person are not correct, all his actions mean nothing. So he could pray, fast all his life, but if he does not understand the basics of fundamentals, then there's no point of his ibadah. A person who prays Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for 50 years, 70 years, 80 years, but then he believes God is a man who sits on a chair, who has a hand and a leg, thus his ibadah is not going to get him anywhere. Or the person who fasts all his life, but then he does not believe in a concept in Islam, then there is no point in his action. All goes to waste. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ وَلِقَائِهِ فَحَبَطَتْ أَعْمَالُهُمْ فَلَا نُقِيمُ لَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَزْنًا. On the day of judgment, they have nothing in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have no weight. Allah won't even consider them at any level. So they will go straight to hell. These are the first people. The second group that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about when it comes to those who lose in this world. The ones who actually work. But then their work is not all for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, either they have a sharik, a partner to Allah. So when he prays and fasts, it's not for Allah mainly, but he wants to make people think good of him. He comes to the masjid not because he wants Allah to be happy, but he wants people to say, well, that person attends the masjid. So there is shirk somewhere hidden. Or he does for riyah, to show off. Same concept. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this kind of actions, you work hard, but then I won't accept it. So you end up being losing. Allah says, لَإِنْ أَشْرَكْتَ لَيَحْبُطَنَّ عَمَلَكَ وَلَتَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. So your actions has to be solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and no one in between. Then there's a third group, which me and my life fall in. We practice the Islamic laws and all that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked me to do. So I pray, I fast, I do hajj, I do everything, and all good and well, all for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, a year later, then I started to brag about myself. I said, well, I went to hajj, I gave charity, I helped build this masjid, I helped do this and do that. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, well, if that's the case, then you have lost everything. You either do it for me and keep it hidden. If you want to show off, then you will lose. Me and my lack, that's what we do. We do something for God, and then after a while we said, I done this and I done that. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will come to what you've done and we will make it haba'an manthura. It will all go like dust or sand in the wind. So one needs to be very careful when it comes to what we do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we don't be considered amongst al-akhsareen. A person came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa and he said to him, "O Prophet, I've fasted all my life." The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa said, "Now you have done no fasting whatsoever. All you've done is gone." Just by stating that. You don't need to tell me. If it was for the sake of Allah, keep it. If it was for the sake of trying to show off, then it's all gone. And the stories in that are too many. The second attribute that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives when it comes to those who lose al-akhsareen, He says, وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. And this is a big problem. That if we do any action without knowledge, we always assume and we are under the impression that what I'm doing is correct. The belief that I believe in is correct. My i'tiqad, my beliefs are accurate because of my ignorance, because of my jahl. I don't want to learn. I'm just assuming it's correct because my father says so, because my friend says so, so I take it for granted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who said? Who said what you're doing is correct? Have you read? Have you studied? Have you done your search? Or just, he said to me and she said to me. How was it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he thinks he's doing good. He thinks he's doing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet, he's losing everything. And in that, there are a few categories that fall under this group who think they are doing good. One are the kuffar, obviously. The ones who believe in other idols or they worship other deities than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are assuming they are worshipping the correct gods. If you go to a Buddhist, for example, he thinks his God is the accurate God. If you go to a Christian or a Jew, he believes he's on the right faith. And he believes in it to the point where he says, you are wrong, I am right. And he's willing to put his life on it. Same thing with us Muslims. We are making the same statement, that I believe what I'm doing is correct. So يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. So one needs to be very careful when it comes to his beliefs. The second group that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about when it comes to the ones who think they are doing good, but in fact they are not. Those who twist the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the examples of that too many. I don't want to mention names or groups. They come to a term in Islam. Now be it from the scholar of Ahlul Bayt salamullah alayhim or even from the other schools. They bring a term, they bring a hadith, they bring a verse from the Quran and they twist it so it suits their needs and it suits their desires. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ زَيْغٌ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ مَا تَشَابَهَ مِنْهُ ابْتِغَاءَ الْفِتْنَةِ وَابْتِغَاءَ تَأْوِيلَهُ. Their main concern is how he can get everything he needs when it comes to looking at the words of the Quran. For example, all the Daesh and them, they use the Quran to say, well, if you are not following my way, then you are a kafir, then I have to kill you. This is the concept. And they utilize the Quran, they utilize the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa so they think they are doing good, يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in fact, they are the ones who are losers or al-akhsareen. The third group, and with this I conclude, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the people who are, like I said, like me, and those who are like me. We do actions for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we think we are doing good, but then Riya comes in. Then my pride kicks in. I try to show off within my deeds. So at that time I think I'm doing good. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you are not doing anything. You are not doing it for my sake. You are doing it for yourself. So Allah says, فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا. It needs to be done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when it comes to our actions, when it comes to the things that we do for God, if we want to make sure that we will succeed in this life, and we will go to the other life and also succeed, let us look at our actions. Who are we doing it for? Is it for me or is it for God? Is it for me, for people, or is it for God? So I have to make sure that there is 100% sincerity in all my actions, what we call ikhlas. We need to understand the concept of ikhlas when it comes to our actions. Otherwise, God forbid, we will leave this world and we will be considered losers. We spend all our lives fasting, praying, doing actions. We think we are doing good, but the Quran says you are doing nothing. You are just merely wasting your time. So one needs to be very careful when it comes to these concepts. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.